Well, hi there, guys. Thanks so much for joining me, and thank you for all of the laughter.
Thanks
Um,
for having us.
I'm sure you hear this a lot. Well, obviously you're in the room, so you hear the laughter, but I'm sure people tell you afterwards as well. I mean, my body was aching from laughing so much, and it's like medicinal levels of laughter. So if people like laughing, they definitely need to go and see the play that goes wrong. But like for each of you, just sort of briefly, what's it like to be on the receiving end of that kind of response from the audience? I mean, Kolby, maybe you want to go first as you're on stage first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I love about doing this show, especially during this time, is that we just had basically 2 years of being stuck inside, and to come to this show every day and hear laughter with, like, to be in a room with people again, and also to laugh with them and feel the energy coming back at us. It's something that we were afraid we would never be able to do again, and now that we're able to do it and feel that, it's very, very special
Yeah.
for sure.
How about for you guys?
Yeah, I mean it's rejuvenating really. Sometimes I wake up and I'll be at home in my apartment and I'll be having a bad day and then I'll go to work and to just share that joy and not only share the joy with the audience but with with each other joking around in the dressing room and just having a good time. It's always the best part of my day. No matter what, coming to work and just goofing around with my friends because that really what it feels like is the best part of my day, and it just reminds me that despite everything, despite some of the, like Colby was saying, despite some of the terrible things going on, like we can all just get in a room together and just laugh and share joy, then like that's what this is all about. That's what life is about.
Yeah, echo the sentiments of my castmates. I have a little bit of a different experience on the couch because my eyes are closed for the first part of the show. So really getting to not just hear it, but you can feel the joy from the audience for something that they probably weren't even expecting to be that funny, that body achingly funny. And it's just nice to be able to help give a release to everyone because we're still dealing with the after effects of the pandemic, and it's really, really special to be able to be with this group of people and give something of that kind of a gift every night. So it's
Yes.
it's really wonderful.
Yeah, and for some people who maybe are still like just dipping their toe back into coming to the theater as well, I think
Right.
it's a great reintroduction of like why we come to the theater as audience members, and the joy of being with other people experiencing something too, and yeah. Hearing all those
Yeah.
funny laughs, which is probably mine, I think, in some of this very very loud laughing. So people of course will see your credits when they look at the playbill when they come and see the show, but I wondered if maybe you could each give me a bit more of an insight into how you first got into performing, and maybe a little bit of a potted history of your career that's brought you up to this point. Colby, I'll go back to you.
Um, well, yeah, I mean, I've been singing and dancing and acting since I was a kid. It's just something that's always been in my blood. And I guess my parents, I was a really shy kid, and I guess my parents were like, "Oh, well, when he's on stage, he all that goes away. He's bold, he's out there." So they kind of just invested in that, which I'm very fortunate to have parents that did that. And so then I just went to college for musical theater, uh, got a BFA in musical theater at Otterbein University, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. I've done a few tours here and there, and I've always been like, maybe I should find another career, maybe look into something else, but I feel like I'm in too deep at this point. And so I'm just like, well, we'll just ride this way while we can. Now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, I've been riding it for a while, but I love what I do, and I'm fortunate and grateful to be able to do it. So
Isn't it interesting how quite a lot of performers talk about being shy, and you would think like, well, if someone is shy, how would they ever get up on stage? But it's quite a common thing in a way, isn't it?
yeah, I always say it's so interesting when I perform for, I can perform for so many people and be fine, but the moment I have like a family or someone really close to me in the audience, I get these jitters. It's so interesting.
Yes, best to not know that. I was a bit like that when I was on radio doing film reviews. I didn't used to tell people that I was on because even though I knew there was a lot of people listening, yeah, it's just that one person you know is listening can like throw you off a little bit and make you extra nervous.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, Clyde, how about you? Go to you next.
For me, I grew up in a very arts forward community. I'm from South Florida, like the West Palm Beach area, and I went to a middle school of the arts, and I went to a high school of the arts, and I was a singer, very music rooted, and I was a voice major in high school, and I didn't necessarily want to do like opera or teach or anything like that. And then I fell into the school musical, Ragtime. And I was like, oh, this is fun. These are my people. Okay, great. Let's go into that. And then I went to the University of Miami as a Bachelor of Music major for musical theater. And I, like Kolby, moved to New York. Things started happening and it just kind of snowballed. A few tours, a few sit downs. Kolby and I actually toured together on Sister Act.
Shenanigans.
On Sister Act. Oh, that must have been a fun one. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, shenanigans. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm so lucky to have even just been in like arts programs growing up because I kind of forget that people don't have that. So it's not a thing that's common, and I now teach anyway, so still. So that's kind of like where I'm at. The same thing with Kolby, like, oh, I want to do this, so I want to do that. I'm like, nah, I kind of love this, so I'm gonna keep doing it. That's where we are. Yeah.
And Trevor, how about yourself?
Yeah, I started same. I started kind of doing this really young. My whole family was kind of involved in it. It was kind of like a family endeavor. My sister did community theater and my mom did community theater, and my dad would help build sets and do lighting. So I kind of fell into it from there and I got bitten by the bug. And I grew up right outside of New York in North Jersey, like 15, 20 minutes outside of Manhattan. So because of that, I had a lot of access to the city. So I started working pretty young. I was in Beauty and the Beast, The Little Mermaid, and Billy Elliot from ages like 7 through like 12, 13. So most of my childhood memories come from doing theater, like almost everything. So I was doing that for a long time, and then I kind of went through the dark ages where I was going through puberty. So nobody wanted to hire me for a little bit. Nobody, no one wanted me. I went to high school and I did every opportunity there was a show, I would do it, the plays, the musicals, everything. And then I went to Pace University, and I actually was in a brand new program, acting for film, television, voiceover, and commercial. And it was kind of my way of like exploring a different part of the industry that I didn't have as much experience with since I'd spent so much time doing theater. And while I was there, I was an understudy in the Ferryman. And then from there, the pandemic hit, and I was, we were doing that thing. And then this is my first time back in theater since the pandemic, and I've just missed it so much. It's just so nice to be back on stage and in a room with people, especially one filled with laughter. So it's like kind of a condensed version of my life.
Well, it's not surprising that you're all such experienced actors, because although you're kind of playing amateur actors, well, you and Clyde and Trevor are anyway, at least with their characters. You need to have a lot of experience, I think, to be in a production like this, given what is going on around you. No, maybe we could just give me a bit of an idea of who you play in the play that goes wrong, and what you particularly enjoy about playing your character. And yeah, so Kolby, your character is a little different because you're a kind of staged technician. You kind of trying to keep everything going.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the fun part about this role, is that I'm kind of like a part of both worlds. I'm a part of the play, but also kind of a viewer with the audience. And that's so exciting because I'm literally visible from the audience for most of the show. And I can kind of connect with everyone. And so every day the show is different for me because the audience is different. And so that's really exciting because it's like, oh, okay, this is the vibe I'm getting today. I'm going to go off that. And so trying to keep everything together is it's like I'm out there with the audience. I'm on this journey with them, you know, but I'm also working, like being able to have moments with my coworkers as well. So it's really, it's exciting. I've never done anything like this before, but so I enjoy it a lot.
Yes, and people need to make sure they come a little early to take their seats, because they'll get to see you, yeah, like on stage, and like you say, doing some interaction with the audience, really, like, yeah.
The shenanigans starts very early on in the show.
Yes, gives us a good idea of where things are going, yeah.
Exactly.
And yeah, Trevor, how about you?
Yeah, I play Dennis, who is the youngest member of the Cornley University Drama Society. He has never acted before. He is not particularly interested in acting. It's something he just kind of fell into because he doesn't really have a lot of friends, and he's looking to make some. And his mom recommended that he try out the theater group at Cornley. So he tried it out. He's very inexperienced. He's kind of just, you know, holding on by the seat of his pants and trying his best. And he plays Perkins, who ironically is the oldest character in the Murder at Havisham Manor. Yeah, so he's struggling. He's trying to remember his lines. You can still kind of see they're still kind of there written on my hands. And he's just there to make friends. He's trying his best. Which is funny because I've been doing this my whole life, so kind of the opposite of who I am, because I've been doing this for so long, and this is his first thing ever. Like he walks out on stage, and just the sight of an audience is the most jarring, unsettling thing he's ever seen. So it's fun to kind of do that because it's so contrary to like who I am. So, and that's like acting is to just play.
But it looks fun, that sort of absolute terror.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a blast.
And now, Clyde, yeah, you mentioned you were on the sofa when you were talking before, but actually the performance that I came to, which was last Sunday, you were understudying for Chris, the director and the inspector, which is a massive role. And I didn't realize that you were the understudy until intermission. And I was like, well, this is just very impressive indeed.
Well, thank you.
Yes, so anyway, we'll backtrack maybe, and you could just tell me about your what you're ordinarily doing in the show and what you enjoy, and then maybe we'll talk understudying. Yeah.
Sure. So I normally on the day-to-day I play Jonathan, and Jonathan is a newer member of the company of the Cornley Society, and he's a model, and he is getting into acting, but he happens to be very, very good at it. But in this show, everything happens to him, not necessarily for him. It's a very physical role, which is great for me. I'm a very physical person. I love fitness and all that kind of stuff, but it is just slapstick physical comedy the entire way for me. It's just I don't want to give anything away, but as you saw, you didn't see me do this, but like I was falling a lot in different capacities, and but he's the person in the company that is keeping the car going. He has to be the one that ties it all together at the very, very end, just so we can finish the show. And he's fun. He doesn't say a lot, but when he does have something to say, he's ready to go. So, I mean, he's great. He's fun.
Yes. And it's almost interesting to think of this as kind of a workout, because it is so physical for all of you.
Yeah. I've been told by my physical therapist, they're like, you don't need to do too much at the gym.
Okay.
Go to the show. So why don't? It's great.
And when it comes to understudying, I think Kolby, you're not understudying anyone, right? No, but Trevor and Clyde, you both had understudying duties. And from the outside of things, it looks to me that understudying has suddenly become a bit more appreciated in the business as we're still in COVID. And I spoke to Antoine Hopper from A Strange Loop, and he called his understudies Wonder Studies on the show, which I liked. So yeah, I don't know if how far you'd agree with that, and what your experience of what your experience is of understudying.
Yeah, I've actually understudied a lot now that I'm thinking about it in my career, but it is a very specific skill set, and it is very difficult because you not only have to, I don't think people think of it in this way, but you have your show, but you have to keep your show and another show in your brain at all times at a moment's notice. And so switching gears for me, especially in this show, from somebody who doesn't speak pretty much at all to someone who speaks the entire time, and then looking at the person that you play as you do it, is kind of, it's very jarring and discombobulating at times, but it's great because, you know, I think we as actors love, you know, having different experiences and different, you know, moments, and it's fun to play with no expectation. And it's really hard in this show because it's very particular. It has to be safe and it has to be, you know, methodically done in certain ways. But in this company, I've lucked out very, very much because we have a lot of veterans in this show. There are times where I'll forget a line and didn't know I forgot a line, and they'll just come right in and you know, shove with love, as people say. But it's hard, and I have nothing but the utmost respect and appreciation for anyone who is swinging or understudying. It is the hardest job. It is the hardest job. And then to come out and make choices is a whole different thing. So it's everybody should be bowing down to swings and understudies.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
And anything you guys wanted to add, Trevor or Kolby?
Yeah, I mean, in this show, I'm I guess I'm the understudy of the understudy for Kolby or for Trevor, not me. That never doesn't get confusing. Trevor. So Trevor understudies the understudy of Trevor. But anyway, but I've also understudied in the past, and it's like Clyde said, it's like one of the hardest jobs. It's also the unsung heroes of a show. They're the people who don't necessarily get the most appreciation, but essentially are the superheroes of the show. You know, they come in and they save the day because, you know, if someone gets injured, if someone gets sick, you know, the age-old adage, the show has to go on, but like how are we going to do that? And that's when an understudy comes in and literally, you know, in their cape and their mask, and they save the show. And I think, like Clyde was saying, you know, it's challenging because you come in and there's certain rhythms that the show's on. You don't want to break up those rhythms for the sake of the other actors, but you also do want to come in, make those honest, truthful choices coming from yourself. So it's a constant like renegotiation, and you have to, like, you know, balance all these you know, opposing factors that exist, and yet somehow you see an understudy, and every time I feel like every time there's an understudy on, I always hear people go, I had no idea you're the understudy. And that's just a testament, I think, to how wonderfully prepared and how wonderfully hardworking the understudies in this industry are. I agree with Clyde, like, bow down all the way.
Yeah, and it's when I go see a show and an understudy is on, I get excited only because I know the rest of the cast is also on their toes and on their game, because you have someone new in the building on the stage. And you know, the thing is, we're doing 8 shows a week, and if you're with the same cast, you know, you might get into a rhythm and things, but when you throw in a different actor with different choices, it makes the cast alert and wanting to try new things. So as a viewer, I get excited about that. I don't go into a show being like, oh, understudy's on. No, I'm like, hey, an understudy's on. This cast is going to be like giving new things that they're not even used to, you know? So I actually love when an understudy's on, because it's so nice to see, especially if you've seen the show before, see different choices and things like that.
Yes. And I've got to hear a little bit from you about interacting with this incredible set. So it's a Tony Award-winning set for the designer Nigel Hook, and definitely deserves that award. There's so many interesting things that it can do. It's so versatile. But yeah, what's it like kind of interacting with it? Selling that sort of the danger, but the whole time, obviously no one wants you as real people to get injured. So what's that like? Maybe Kolby, do you want to go first? As you're the one that your character's fixing it at the beginning.
Yeah, well, that's the genius of this set, because the play Havisham the Murder at Havisham Manor is set in this theater company that might have a lower budget. Yeah, so when you look at it, the set seems pretty simple, but the genius of it is there's so many mechanics and little things that are involved with this set that when the show is over, you're like, wow, that was pretty genius how they made that work. And like my job as Trevor, the character Trevor, is to make sure that all of this is intact, all of it is safe. And that's the comedy, is that none of it is intact and none of it is really safe. And so the Tony is definitely deserved when it comes to this set, because every time I have friends come to see this show and they leave, they're like, that set is unbelievable. How to have all those little things happening, like how do they do that? And I think that's a testament, is when you can walk away being like, how do they do that? It lets you know that it's genius and there's a lot of intelligence behind it.
Yes, it is theater magic. It really is, because I mean, I've been on stage quite a bit, but I was still thinking, I don't know how they did that. And like, are they really doing that? That just looks unsafe. It really does.
Right.
Yeah. How about for you guys, Clyde?
I want to give like a shout out to the ones that you don't see, the people who are like operating that set. Because, a lot of the things that happen, especially with the actors, it's from them. It's literally from them, and it's about to them as well, because, they are really keeping us safe. They are the ones keeping us safe. They have the timing down. They know how things work in and out. I mean, they know this set probably better than anybody. It's really incredible to me. And every day they just come in, they clean it, they fix it, they make adjustments. They are always working on this set to make sure that it looks like it's the first time you've ever seen this show. And I'm constantly impressed by how hard they work and how much they love it. So just a shout out to the crew with the set. So
yes, yeah, it doesn't give too much away. Just like, it's in a bit of a mess at the end, and that was my thought. It's like, someone has got to put this back together. Wow.
Hot mess, but
and how about for you, Trevor? Your character is trying to hold a lot of stuff up. I mean, everyone
Yeah, I mean,
you know what? I've got so much running through my head, remembering little moments with the set now that I was finding it hard not to laugh during your answers, because like bits were just coming back to me. So
yeah, I mean, when I saw the show and when we were in rehearsals, like one of the things I was most excited for was getting to work on the set, and it was funny to kind of start off rehearsals and feel the sort of tentativeness that I had around it, the sort of hesitation. They were like, slam the door shut, and me kind of like kick the door open, all that stuff, and me being really scared, and realizing over time that you really she's another character in the show. The set is another character, and she can take a lot. She is the strongest person I've ever met, because she can take it. Like, you slam that door, and it's nice to feel so comfortable with her. Like, I trust her. I can, I know that she's there for us, and she can be a little temperamental at times, but for the most part,
she needs a name.
Yeah, we do have
a name.
We should name her.
And do things go wrong, like unintentionally sometimes with it? Like, there's a shield that comes down and knock people in the head. I mean, there are other things that sometimes go wrong or not. Let's hope not, I guess, but I've just wondered.
I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't.
Yes.
But that's the beauty of the show. If something messes up, no one knows. They're like, was that supposed to happen? So for us, it's like, it messed up, but oh well, they don't know. They can't tell the
no
difference.
idea.
If anything, sometimes it like adds to their enjoyment. We have I love the story of one of our understudies went on and he knocked himself in the head, and head trauma like causes blood, but he was fine. and he kept going with the show, and the audience just thought it was part of the bit. They thought it was great. He was fine. He wasn't hurt. He wrapped up his head with some gauze during intermission. They thought it looked funny. They just put more on, pushed him back on stage, and they ate it up. So I feel like the joy of the show is like from big things to little things. No one, I've gone on stage and I've like fumbled over lines, and the audience laughs at me, and I'm like, cool. I meant to do that. That is exactly what I meant to do.
It's the right show to do it in, right? Yeah, and great accents. Oh, sorry. Go on, Kolby.
I was saying I ripped my pants on stage, and it was like, hey, you're welcome. It's part of it.
No one's gonna know. It's great. Yes. Oh, yes. I was just saying great accents as well to Clyde and Trevor.
Thank you.
As a Brit.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really nice. I'm like, did I say that right? I don't know.
And I'd love to get a bit of an insight from each of you on your perspective on navigating the business as an LGBTQ person, and if whether you feel like there's a great kind of sense of community for queer performers off Broadway or in New York generally, and just what your experience has been like, as I say, kind of navigating the business. Kolby, did you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I've always loved about theater is it has been a very welcoming community when it comes to LGBTQ community, and me navigating through it I've always felt welcome and heard. But there's also places where we can continue to grow and learn from each other, because that is the beauty of theater. I've always felt like we've been at the forefront of all those social issues, and to be the first group of people to be like, no, we stand for this. And so that's what I love about this community, is that we listen. And I think if we continue to do that, it's going to be great. And I have wonderful coworkers like, Clyde and Trevor. We banter, we joke, but I feel very comfortable being able to be myself in my dressing room with all different types of people. And I feel I'm very fortunate to work where I do, because the love is there and we're very honest with each other, and it's very comforting.
Yeah. Yeah. And Clyde, how about you?
Yeah, it's been great. I not to say that things don't come with their own challenges. It's really, with things like Strange Loop and other shows that are coming out now, it's a turning point, I feel, in our industry, where you don't have to just play the funny person, or you don't have to play particular characters when you go in for your auditions. At the end of the day, we're actors. I go in and I audition, or I play the role that is at hand. But it's so refreshing to be able to go into a room and not have to work so hard. I can do this because I get this for free. You know what I mean? I get to just do this for free. And that's one beautiful thing I love about this show. Our amazing director, Matty DiCarlo, he was just like, I want you to be you. Just do you, and we'll go from there. So, my Jonathan has a little bit of a little thing going on with him. It's just, that's just who. I don't have to hide it or cover it, and it's part of me and actually coming into the room with me. And that's been really refreshing and beautiful, and I can see it with my coworkers, and it just makes the show better and more lived in, and getting to explore that on stage as an actor is really wonderful. It's not often you get to see that in this kind of a show, as the principals of your show are everything in between, and they're just all very different, and it's a beautiful moment, I think. So that's what it is for me. Yeah.
And Trevor, how about for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, everything Clyde and Kolby said, and it just feels really special to be a part of this community. I think the theater community is a really open, welcoming space, and to also have like allies within the theater, like people who aren't necessarily, part of the community and yet still are so supportive. It's funny. Clyde and Kolby and I always joke around that at the start of the show, there weren't as many people in the show who are part of the LGBTQIA plus community. And then all of a sudden we came in and it was like, take over. Like we totally took over. And, you know, to have that supportive space to have Clyde and Kolby and, to look up to them and to learn and to grow from them and to feel supported by them and to also feel supported by the other people who, are so open and kind and just, I don't know, like it's special. And I don't think every industry has a safe space like that. And I'm just really, really incredibly grateful and proud to be a part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that Kolby said at the beginning, just being able to sort of be in the dressing room and feel like at ease that you can just be yourself at work. Not a lot of people, well, a lot of people still don't get that in their places of work. So it's a great thing, an important thing. And so in the last couple of minutes, I'd love to get from each of you your favorite piece of LGBTQ plus culture. So it could be a play, a TV series, a movie, a book, artwork, photography, any bit of culture, or a person who identifies as LGBTQ plus. So someone or something that's had an impact on you and resonated with you over the years. And why? And if someone's ready, they can jump in.
Like my favorite.
I can.
Oh,
I mean, I can
Kolby.
say, viewing Paris is Burning, the documentary, was such an eye opener for me because where I grew up, being queer was not very. It wasn't. I didn't see a lot of queer people or people who were out. I didn't know, and it was not celebrated the way it was like it is here in New York. And when I saw the documentary, I was like, oh, there's so many layers and types of people in this community who have stories, very unique stories, and who are queer, who are of color, and all these things that were in my face. I was like, oh, okay, that's really relatable. I see a little bit of that in me as well. And that really, it's like flipped a switch in my mind of it's not, we're so complex, we're so beautiful, we're so colorful, and it could be showcased in a documentary of real people in this big city. And I mean, I still watch it and I'm just fascinated and awe and grateful for the people who came before me and told their stories so I can sit here today and be around my friends and tell my story comfortably. And it really holds up dear, dear place in my heart.
Clyde?
I'm gonna, this may be a little like abstract, but like I think for me, it's the theater community in itself. I didn't, even though earlier I said I grew up in a very arts forward community, there were no LGBTQ plus that I saw out loud. No one was waving a flag, no one was, having a parade. There was, if it was a thing, it was very hush hush. But when I walked into the theater or I got into any theatrical space, the leaders of those spaces were the ones that I give that to. Those are the people that I look up to. All the teachers that I've had that were in that community. So all of those teachers across the country, the globe, that gave that space for, the little Black gay boy who had no idea even what theater was at 17. And I'm like, oh, here they are. Here they are. I thought I was alone. No, here they are. So the theater community, thespians, I guess, is my favorite piece because it is, as Kolby said, the place where people are willing to listen and learn and move forward. So it's ever changing and ever growing, but that's what that, yeah.
Beautiful, yeah. And Trevor, we just have 1 minute.
I mean, it's hard to narrow down just one. There's so much. For me, a lot is about books. I really love to read, and books by queer authors, I think, have illuminated the queer experience in such a specific and honest way. I think about like James Baldwin, who's my favorite author, talks about the queer experience and illuminated it at a time that was, it was a bit more taboo to talk about that. To have writers and people who can, illuminate the experience, the queer experience, has been something that has always really impacted me and my viewpoint.
Well, Trevor, Clyde, Kolby, thanks so much for chatting to me. And everyone go to Broadway Goes Wrong to get your tickets for the play that goes wrong Off-Broadway.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.